Welcome to the afternoon session. Are you awake? Okay. So, our afternoon session is Wang Ping's Lyrical Crossings. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Okay, my name is Angela Yan. I'm the Director of International Student Program. The- I'm very glad my program and we can be part of that. So thank you for including us. And I also invite some of our international students to attend this session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yang. We are so grateful for the support of the International Students Program and Dr. Yang for this very special session. My name is Shiva Kian Kaufman, and I'm a professor of English here at Saddleback. We are thrilled to welcome our esteemed author, Wang Ping, to our campus today. I have been teaching the short story, one of her short stories, The Book War, for years in my English classes. So it's truly an honor to meet my literary hero, a voice of courage, hope, and resilience that has inspired both me and my students. Wang Ping is a poet, writer, translator, multimedia artist, professor emerita of English at Macalester College. Her work has been anthologized and translated into multiple languages, and her publications include short stories, novels, and cultural studies. She has received numerous awards for her books and has been awarded fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts, the Minnesota State Arts Board, among many others.
And Wang Ping's most recent book of poetry called My Name is Immigrant is described as a song for the plight and pride of immigrants around the globe. So today we will begin this session with a very special surprise. So one of our international dual enrollment students called Amber Jen, she has prepared a dance to accompany the reading of Ping's poem called Things We Carry on the Sea. So from the book, My Name is Immigrant. So Amber has been learning Chinese dance for over 8 years. She is very professional, okay? You will be amazed by her. And she is also a member of the Chinese dance company of Southern California. Let's enjoy it.
Things we carry on the sea. We carry tears in our eyes. Goodbye, father. Goodbye, mother. We carry soil in small bags. May home never fade from our hearts. We carry names, stories, memories of our village. We carry scars from proxy wars of greed. We carry carnage of mining, droughts, floods, genocides. We carry dust of our families, incinerated in mushroom clouds. We carry our islands sinking under the sea. We carry our hands, feet, bones, hearts, and best minds to start a new life. We carry diplomas, medicine, engineer, nurse, education, math, poetry, even if they mean nothing to the other shore. We carry railroads, plantations, laundromats, taco trucks, farm, factories, nursing homes, hospitals, schools, temples, all built on our ancestors' backs. We carry old homes along the spine, new dreams in our chests. We carry yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We are orphans of the wars forced upon us. We are refugees of the sea, drowning in plastic wastes. We came from the same mother in Africa, where your children, sisters and brothers, father and mother. Our tongues carry the same weight as we chant. I, Hub, Liebe, Amour, love, 平安, Salam, Shalom, Paz, peace, 希望, Amal, Hoffnung, Esperanza, hope, 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 as we drift from dream to dream, sea to sea. Thank you so much, Saddleback, to bring me here. And I know it takes a lot of work, like a dozen of people involved since I first got the message from Shiba. She found me, I think, through Instagram or Facebook, yeah, because I lost my college Gmail email. So then Angela Young, Gina, just lots of people got involved. And so I'm very, very grateful to come to this beautiful campus. I just feel the vibrant energy. And I think you're doing a really good job to educate young people from all over the world. And I hope I'll come back in future again. And we're talking about doing some creative writing workshops for students whose English is not English as the mother tongue. So I think I will skip things we carry, but I will start with immigrant cannot write poetry. The reason I wrote this poem is when I was in New York at that time. I just started writing in English. There's a story actually for me to start writing. I came to New York in 1985 to get a PhD in English literature. Then that day, I remember in Brooklyn College, not Brooklyn College, Long Island University in Brooklyn, I was supposed to take 18th century British novels. And I walked into this classroom and I saw a professor who doesn't really look like a professor at all. He had long hair, crazy long hair, and he had 2 shirts on. Both shirts were misbuttoned. And he had whitewash all over from head to toe. And then he had a cold, and he was borrowing tissues from a student to wipe his nose. So I thought, who's that? Very interesting. So I thought, okay. I sat down and turned out it is creative writing class. And I was about to leave, and the professor said, just try it. You are not, I know you would, at the end of class, you would think you are taking the right class. So I sat down and I wrote a story, my very first story. And it's about the chicken and a duck I raised on the farm. And the professor wrote that you should start writing a novel. So that was like a Zen master just whacked the head of a student and to awaken that student. And I felt nirvana, enlightenment. They said, oh, that's why I went through so much to come to New York, because I had a story to tell. So I stayed in that class, and then after the class, that's the only creative writing class I took. And then one day, that professor, Louis Walsh, he called me and said, Allen Ginsberg is trying to bring Chinese poets from Beidao, Guchen, the Misty School poets to America, and he was looking for a translator. Would you be willing to do this job? There's no money. And I said, sure. I was starving, working underground, under the table as a waitress to pay, for rent and tuition. but I was willing to, I just grabbed that opportunity, and I became Allen Ginsberg's translator. And I got to know the best poets from America, Allen Ginsberg, Gary Snyder, John Ashbery, right? Kenneth Coke, and a bunch of other crazy poets from New York School poetry. And then I also got to know Gu Chen, Yang Lian, Bei Dao, right? And those poets. And just suddenly just by turning into the wrong classroom, I just suddenly into the two great rivers of poetry from both continents, right? And I never stopped writing, right? Was that it just took one line of encouragement, you should start writing a novel. You're awakened. So I hope a lot of you, all of you, will have this luck to step into the wrong place and find the right path for you. Okay, this kind of miracle can happen anytime. But when you find it, don't hesitate. Step into the river and swim. You will find a lot of joy and miracles. When you find the first miracle, more miracles await for you. Okay, I will start reading that poem. When I first started writing the poem, I remember I was in a cafe telling the story. My Beijing University classmate, Hu Ying is one. We stayed in the same dormitory. And the other one is Jiang Xianchun. I didn't know she was a poet, but she was dating Helen Vander's son. Helen Vander is the poetry critic from Harvard, right? And she is the critic, So her daughter-in-law was my roommate, actually, in Beijing University. So she told me that her mother-in-law encouraged her to write only prose, because she said, immigrants can write prose, but poetry, nah. You don't have the grammar for that. So I wrote this poem. Immigrant can't write poetry, ars poetica. Oh no, not with your immigrant syntax, Helen Vandeler to train a Chinese poet writing in English. She walk to river. She walks to a river. She walk to river now. She is walking to a river now. What difference it make? What difference does it make? In nature, no completeness, no sentence really complete thought. Language, our birthright and curse. Pay no mind to immigrant syntax. Like mountain running to valley and bay, like water flowing into Pensalasa Sea. Poetry is river, is mountain, is life. Who can stop it from running free, undressed? So that is my response to Helen Vandeler. And it actually is a live broadcast for PBS. It was selected for PBS. You probably can, find it, and it was anthologized everywhere. So I hope Helen Vandeler wouldn't see it, otherwise she would be really mad at me. So next job is next poem. I'm going to skip things we carry because I can't compete with the dancer. She did a fabulous job. Thank you. Yeah. So this one is how I got my job in academia. It was a complete fluke, just like me walking into the wrong classroom. So it will be in the new manuscript. I'm trying to decide title is Immigrants Can't Write Poetry, or I try to write a Paradise, which is after Ezra Pound's famous poem. In the fancy lounge of Old Main, I read Chinese Toilet for my job talk, a story about excrement. It was lunchtime. Turkey sandwiches were served on porcelain plates to dignified professors and beautiful students. Macalester actually is very elite, and rich students go there. I had no clue how to present myself for this life-changing event. What to wear, what to read, how to address my audience and interviews. My PhD program never thought I would apply for a position in academia, nor did I. English is my second tongue. It was assumed I would never be qualified teaching humanity, let alone creative writing, let alone poetry. I didn't expect to get this job from this lily white place in Midwest. So I sang odes about shitholes in China, how I hid in public toilets and chicken coop to read Romeo and Juliet, Pushkin's poems, War and Peace, Dead Souls, and Jack London's Call of the Wild, all banned as pornography during the Cultural Revolution, all hand-copied, all missing pages. I made people laugh a lot, mouths stuffed with white turkey and bread. I got a job and taught poetry for 21 years, promoted to full professor. A crazy and nutty professor students write, but her class is a must before graduation. Till I'm ejected from the porcelain place and banned to re-enter. Ain't I the luckiest person on earth? So the next one is Old Home from my book. Where's my book? Oh, here it is. This is a prose poem. When I started writing that kind of prose poem, nobody really was doing this, and then it became very popular. So, 老家, old home. At 16, my father ran away from his widowed mother to fight the Japanese. I will come back with a PhD and save my country with better English and knowledge, I pledged at the farewell party in Beijing, 1985. Home, 家, a roof under which animals live. When asked where I am from, I say Weihai, even though nobody knows where it is, even though I've never been to the place. He lost his left ear in a bayonet fight with a Japanese soldier. 2 years later, American cannons split his eardrums. The bag lady stopped her cart on the busy street and peed into a subway grate. Did you jump or fly? Asked my landlady from her mahjong table. Then she laughed and told me her husband had jumped ship 10 years ago. When he opened his 5th Chinese takeout, he bought her a passport and flew her to Queens. The only thing he liked to talk about was his old home, Weihai. Its plump sea cucumbers and sweet apples, men with broad shoulders, thick thighs, and girls with long braids making steamed bread. Back home, I had no money, but I never felt poor, she said, shivering behind her fruit stand. Here, if my money goes down below $4,000, I panic. She scanned the snow-covered streets of Chinatown. I guess I really don't want to be homeless here. I hired a babysitter when she mentioned her hometown was Weihai. The president visited the rice paddies in Vietnam, where a pilot had been downed 33 years ago, to bring his bones home. My father tried to return to Weihai after his discharge from Navy. With his rank, he could find work only in a coal mine town nearby. My mother refused to go. He went alone and got sick with TB. Mother ordered me to date the county administrator's son so he could help father come home. No, I'm not sad, the street kid shook her head. How can I miss something I've never had? On her 60th birthday, my grandma went home to die, sailing from the island to Shanghai, from Shanghai to Yantai, then 2 buses to Weihai. I carried her onto the big ship at the Shanghai port, down to the bottom, where she would spend 3 days on a mattress on the floor with hundreds of fellow passengers. How are you going to make it, Grandma? I asked. She pulled out a pair of embroidered shoes from her parcel and placed them between my feet. My heart and liver, come to Laojia soon before it's too late. House, 房, a door over a square, a place, a direction. He never lost his accent, never learned Mandarin or the island dialect. Weihai, a small city in Shandong province, on the coast of North China Sea, a home where my grandfather and his father were born, where my grandma married, raised her children, and now lies in the yam fields, nameless, next to her husband, an old frontier to fend off Japanese pirates, a place I come from, had never set foot on. It's my Laojia, old home. Back from America, my mother furnished her apartment on the island, bought a new one in the suburb of Shanghai, and is seeking a third in Beijing. A cunning rabbit needs 3 holes, she wrote to us, demanding our contributions. They swore before boarding the ship that they would send money home to bring more relatives over. In return, they were promised that if they died, their bodies would be sent back home for burial. I drink American milk, a few drops in tea. I eat American rice, Japanese brand. Chinese comes to me only in dreams, in black and white pictures. My mother buried her husband on the island of East China Sea, where he lived for almost 50 years after he ran away at 16 from his old home on the Yellow Sea. Room, Wu, a body unnamed and homeless until it finds a direction. We greet a stranger with, "Where are you from?" When we meet a friend on the street, we say, "Where have you been? Where are you going?" Jia, a roof under which animals live. Fang, a door over a square, a place, a direction. Wu, a body unnamed and homeless until it finds a destination. Tangled roots, 根, for wandering souls. Thank you. So here's a crazy poem. I don't know if people who are familiar with Mad Corso, Gregory Corso, who wrote the crazy poems called, wonderful poem called Mad Yak, right? So when I started writing poetry, I really hang out a lot at St. Mark's Church, and I often just bumped into those, I have no idea who, but crazy looking, but wonderful poets, right? And who changed my life completely. Here's a poem, one of the encounters. In the courtyard of St. Mark's Church, Poets milled around, waiting for the event of the year, organized by Poetry Project. Alan is going to read How. I was scheduled to read before Alan. I had spent 3 weeks writing a poem for this event, The Song of Calling Souls, story of Chinese immigrants who drowned in Rockaway, New York, after jumping the ship to run from the cops. It was a big crowd, with people I knew well, Louis, Ron, Ed, Rudy, and Yvonne, and people I never met. Flowers were blooming, and the church looked beautiful and dignified as usual. Someone grabbed my legs, shouting things I couldn't understand. I screamed and jumped, but the man with wild hair held onto my ankles, his body mopping the churchyard as I tried to move away from him. People were laughing as if it was something normal, even entertaining, until Alan rushed over, picked him up, and dragged him away. I heard him say, "Take it easy, Greg. Go home and sleep it off." Then he turned to me. "No worries, Penny." I was called Penny. "He is harmless. He's just being Greg Corso." I didn't know who Greg Corso was. No, I thought I didn't know, but my spirit knew. I should be startled, but I was not. No, I was more than startled. I was electrified, like the first thunderbolt striking winter fields where seeds, roots, and worms had been waiting. That night, I read my poem along with Ginsberg. His How and my Song of Calling Souls set the crowd and church on fire. In St. Paul, I taught Mad Yak and marriage to elite students at an elite college. Together with Allen Ginsberg, Gary Snyder, Jack Kerouac, Anne Waldman, Alexei Erdrich Troop, till I heard Greg pass in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, 20 miles from me. Till I got booted out for teaching things unsafe and inappropriate for appropriating Native and Black cultures as a Chinese, and anti-white, aka anti-WASP, and worse, manipulating students with poetry. But nothing can put out the fire and thunder Gregory Corso ignited in me as he grabbed my legs and mumbled magic into my soul at St. Mark's Church. He was blessing me with his essence. He was passing his torch to a girl from China who is just as untamable as Mad Yak Corso. Writing and teaching poetry in English, defying the elite critics and their mocking. Immigrants can't write poetry. Thank you. Immigrants can't write poetry. This is a tribute to the professor Louis Walsh, who got me into poetry. And he passed away a few years ago. 30 years ago, I walked into a wrong class, poetry. I sat down and got hooked to the game of heart. Poetry led me to Allen Ginsberg, Philip Glass, Gary Snyder. Poetry led me to the Twin Cities on the Mississippi, where I fell in love with rivers and purple prairies. Poetry led me into an elite academia on the bluff. For 33 years, I opened new windows and doors with poetry. For 33 years, I lit up new stars in darkened eyes. For 33 years, I linked hearts, minds, and body with beauty and truth. For 33 years, I healed wounded souls with laughter. For 33 years, I never missed a single day teaching poetry. For 33 years, students loved me, authorities hated me. Did I do something right? I've battled hate with words. I've spread love through poetry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing, wow, those words just took me to so many amazing places. I wanted to make sure to give everyone an opportunity for some questions and answers. I won't start with mine just because I want to, give more opportunity for others. Would anyone like to start with a question? And we will, do you want to take the mic around? Students, this is for students. This is for your opportunities.
So when you started writing, like when you were a child, how did you go through like the process of like writing your thoughts down and then like editing, and who did you go to to help you with that?
Yeah. Are you asking me when I start writing in Chinese or in English?
Either one. I don't.
Either one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, I have to tell you the process, how I started writing. When I started writing, I told you how I walked into the wrong classroom, and I was writing in English, and then I also met a bunch of the best Chinese poets and artists, actually, including Ai Weiwei. Do you know Ai Weiwei? Yeah. In Chinatown, we gathered every week in Chinatown. And I started writing Chinese poems, right? And in a year or two, I was invited to do the first reading at St. Mark's Church. And I was just so nervous because this is the mecca of poetry at that time. And I had only like at most a dozen of poems in English. And I thought this is not enough and not good enough. And I want to translate some of my Chinese poems into English. And I realized I can't. I couldn't do it. And I put them side by side, and I realized I was two different people in English poems and in Chinese poems, right? In Chinese poems, I was a good girl, proper, trying to be pretty, okay, and trying to be clever. But poetry is not about being clever or being pretty or trying to be proper. No. And then I look at my English, I had limited English vocabularies for sure, and I had no grammar. It was full of errors, but I was so free. I was a wild child doing somersaults, and I don't give a crap about what other people think or say about me. And I said, wow, I didn't know mother tongue is actually a whip, had been a whip internally telling me where to go, how to think, what to see, right? And I said, okay, now I have a second language where my mother tongue, the whip, cannot reach me. I'm going to play there in that world. So that's how I started doing that. And the language is really a tool, but of course, materials, right? It's very interesting, the language. If I have a chance, I will talk more about it. But my belly is filled with stories, my experiences from China, growing up in China. So I just let it out through the English channel, and my first set of books, I hardly did any editing because I did not know editing. Thank God, because if I knew how to edit, probably won't be what books, what kind of writing I'm doing now, because editing is one of the whipping process, right? And because I was so full with stories, so I just write them, and the Coffee House Press they published 6 of my first books, right? So they did editing for me, not too much, right? And then after the first 6 books, I realized now I really need to sit down and edit. And now I edit endlessly, just too much sometimes, And so, yeah, for you, I don't know how you write, if you have 2 or 3 languages, right? But with each language you have a new world. Okay, so those who come here with like, with your mother tongue and doing a second language, I really advise you try to play in the second tongue, because your mother tongue is always in the background, right? Whatever comes out in the second tongue, you got the freedom, but you also got the ground of the mother tongue, right? You got the meat of the stories is the meat, right? And so you got the backbone of the mother tongue, the meat of your stories, and then you get the new tool, the English, to play with it, right? You get so much more advantage. Don't worry about making a fool. I made a fool of big fools of myself many, many times. I don't care. Just, when you get the first successful poems, first success story, then you know what's coming. You'll get second, third, more is coming, right? The first one is really so important. It takes a lot of courage and playfulness and shamelessness to do that. Just don't be ashamed. Just be shameless, okay? And to do your writing. Because to express who we are is just really the only is, I think, is to write poetry, to do art, right? To express ourselves, why we are here, is really the only goal to be alive. Because making money is easy. Making life to make enough is not that hard. But what's after that, right? Why are we here, right? What makes us truly happy? Just think about that. It's how we can express ourselves, right? Who we are. Tell the world who we are, why we're here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, I just wanted to hug you. Thank you so much. I know we could just listen to your words of wisdom and just soak it all in.
Words.
No, not crazy words. Courageous words. And I would have asked a question about. We can't because we do need to we need to make a few announcements. But the question I was going to ask about how you develop this courage, but we will talk more hopefully about that, because that's the question, right? Okay. I wanted to make so again, thank you so much. One more round of applause, and thank you so much for Angela Yang and the International Students Program Office. They've been assisting to bring our special guests to campus. It was really, really an honor.
Yes. So thank you so much, Professor Ping. What a wonderful, inspiring talk you gave to all of us. Thank you for sharing your beautiful words and your wisdom with us. So thank you again. You've been a great audience. And thank you to our dancer, Amber, for a beautiful performance.